And I was getting mad at God, honestly. I was like, why aren't you giving me these opportunities? Like, how are things not working out? I've been told my whole life it's all about who you know. And now I'm in a place where I'm meeting people I'd never thought I'd ever meet in my entire life. Doors were just locked. If there was an open door I thought was open, it was slammed in my face right away. And so I was working facilities, I was cleaning the gym. Meanwhile, my wife and I were trying to figure out if we were in the right place spiritually in our church that we were going to. And when COVID hit, everything went online. And all the distractions of being inside a church building kind of went away. In Minnesota, everyone's kind of to themselves and they praise God in their own ways, and they aren't always raising their hands and shouting amen in the service. And so we got to Vegas and a lot of people did that, and that's great. We just weren't used to it. And so we were kind of distracted a little bit. And so we were really trying to figure out if the distractions we were having were okay. And so once those distractions left and we were focusing on the preaching of the gospel and kind of the service in general, things started kind of coming out to us that were red flags to us a little bit. And so I didn't know if that was the best place for us to grow spiritually. And so I was convicted of that. I spent a couple months wrestling that thought. And so I didn't say anything to Danny for a couple months just because I wanted her to have her own opinion and her own understanding of her own convictions and stuff like that. And it kind of hit us at the same time, looking back on it. And I asked her a couple months into my own convictions, I was like, I think this church isn't for us. And here's why. And she had the same exact feelings. And I had affirmation from some really strong friends of mine in the faith, and they had affirmed kind of a lot of things that I was concerned with. And so we began that battle looking for churches again. We looked at Calvary Chapel and we were looking around and we were watching online, and it just felt really connected. We felt like this seems like a really good place for us, and it is bigger than what we were used to, but they have small groups, they have a body of believers that are really connected, and it seems like a close-knit community. And so we're like, okay, let's check this out. Christmas of 2020, we went in person. They had an in-person service, and from then on, it was like, okay, this is the place. I got plugged into the production ministry, and I was helping out with the live stream for services. I was put on the cameras and helping out with that, and I was like, okay, like this is my outlet now. Like I feel like I have purpose. And I kept sending out applications. I kept praying for an opportunity, and I was getting promises from people at my job that like, oh, like big things are coming, like we want you to do things and use your skills in videography and photography to highlight different events and promotions and stuff like that. And so I literally was like making my own job description. I was like pitching ideas. I was like trying to do this while I was still cleaning the floors. So I was like this custodian that was like just trying to break through. I was just like, just give me an opportunity. Just like, let me do my thing. Like God, let me just like explode out of this position, like put the broom down and do what I'm supposed to do. I was making an idol out of that. And it was my plan versus God's plan. And that wasn't the right thing to do. And that was a humbling experience because doors kept closing. God was like, Nick, I have you here. Don't look left. Don't look right. Don't look behind you at the job you used to have. I'm right here. And honestly, I was at a point of surrender. And looking back, it was surrendering, but in the moment, it felt like I was just like giving up. It felt like giving up. It felt like I was like, okay, like I'm here. I'm cleaning floors. I'm trying to provide for my wife. I'm trying to support her. I'm trying to build my resume, to continue to support her. And I felt like I was failing at that. I felt like I was failing as a husband to provide for her, even though we were getting paid and we were making rent. It was challenging though. There was times where I remember, this is when we were in our old apartment, a few months into us living in Vegas, we had less than 10 cents to our name. Not in our checking, not in our savings, or in any other account. We were like trying to build ourselves back up from that. And so I was working really hard to try to get us back to that safety net that we needed. I was in a job I didn't like. I was getting paid, respectively for the job. It wasn't a lot, but it was respected for the job. And I think I got ahead of myself too much, and I wasn't relying on God. I wasn't relying on His plan for us. In Proverbs 19:21, it says, "Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand." And I was making so many plans. I was meeting as many people as possible. I had business cards in my pocket. I was asking for people if they needed photos of family, but I was putting it all in my own hands. I wasn't putting it in God's hands. I was kind of close-fisted, and I didn't really know that for a little bit until I was like at that point of surrender. And that's why I named this channel The Surrenders, because it was at a point in my life where I was like, okay, God, like this, it's yours. Like, if you want me to sweep floors for the rest of my life, like, okay, like, I'm here. And that was kind of the first time that I really had to surrender my own will and plan. And it was a humbling experience. It was super humbling. And looking back on it, it was needed. I'm volunteering at the church, and I'm helping out the media manager there, and to this day has been a huge blessing in my life. And he asked me to help him with some projects, and I was beyond excited and way more than willing to help him with things. And that fall comes around, the fall of 2021. I had sent out a couple more applications. I had a connection with UFC and had a connection with MGM. I asked God, okay, like, if this is it, I'll take it. But if it's not, I'm okay with that. To be honest, I didn't really know if I wanted the MGM job. And I didn't really know if I even wanted the UFC job. I had told my life group, my small group, that I had been applying and everything like that, and asked them to pray for it. And I didn't really know what it meant, if I was supposed to get the job or not, or if I was supposed to get an interview. And on Sunday, I am having my coffee, and I get a phone call from the creative director at the church. And he's like, "Hey Nick, will you be at service today? I have something that I want you to pray for, or pray about." And I said, "Yeah, Tony, I'll be. We plan to be there. I can be there a little earlier if you need me to. I'll come earlier than I was planning to, and we can talk." I was thinking the whole time, I was like, oh, it's probably another project, maybe another event that they have, that they need help with videography and stuff. And or I was like, oh, maybe it's something else I have no idea about. But I was like open to whatever and excited to hear what he had to say. He had a pretty good relationship with him, and I got to church, and he's a worship pastor, and so he was leading worship that day, and so he was kind of on a tight schedule, so I tried to get there a little earlier so he'd have time to get ready for service. And I see him walk backstage to go to get ready, and I yell his name, and I just got him before he went through the door. And he came back. We talked in this hallway, and he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you something. We have someone leaving the team." And that person, he said, was Nathan, the guy who was the media manager at the church. He said he has a new opportunity, and he'll be leading staff really soon. And I was like, "Oh no, really?" And he said, "Yeah, and we want you to take the job." my jaw dropped. I was like, are you kidding me? What do you mean? He's like, Nathan will be leaving in December, and we would like you to take the position. We want you to fill in and take over the role as media manager of the church. I cried. Literally, I cried. And Tony's like, pray about it, talk to your wife, but you can start as soon as you want. He gave me a pat on the shoulder. He said, pray about it. We would love you on the team. I walked over to Danny and I was like in tears, and I just told her, I got a job offer. I don't know what this means, but I want to take it. I didn't even get a written offer. I didn't even get like a job description. I didn't even get how much I was going to get paid. I just knew that this job was for me, and I that whole service, I was just sitting there. I couldn't even think. I didn't even know what was going on around me that whole time. I was just overwhelmed with joy, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. And I got the job offer, written offer, the next day. And that afternoon, I walked into my supervisor's office and I said, I just got a new job offer, and it's something that I cannot pass. And so I'm taking it. And this is my 2 weeks notice. All of those closed doors, all of those connections I thought would lead to my next big thing, all of those self-generated opportunities that they were good things. It was good work and people were happy with it. But the reason why none of it worked out was because it wasn't in God's plan. And looking back on Proverbs 19:21, many are the plans in the mind of the man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. And all of my plans fell to the ground, and the only thing that was standing was God's purpose and plan for my life. All of these little small things, or even some big things that I was making decisions on, led to where I am today. And that's the same thing. That's true for your life too. All of the decisions you make in your life lead to where you are right now, whether it was a bad decision or a good decision. It leads you somewhere, ultimately where God wants you. Whether it's failing, whether it's getting fired from a job, whether it's, going through a big loss in your life. It all has purpose and reason. And purpose and reason that no one really ever has answers for. Whether it's in the moment or after the moment, it's still challenging to even answer some of the things that I was going through and still go through to this day. And I don't really know what is in store next, but to know that I feel fulfilled here in my job now, and I go to work every day looking forward to new things, and I'll be going to Israel twice in a year, and I was in Mexico and doing some amazing things down there, and I just can't wait for what God has for our lives next, and it's a journey. God's still helping us through things. It's still challenging, it's still difficult living in a new place, and we're still adjusting, but I need that constant reminder of surrender and letting my plans go. And it's okay to plan, it's okay to have those things, but give it to God, and or be open to change, and know that ultimately whatever God's plan for your life is going to happen. But I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the doors that were closing. I'm grateful for the one door that I needed to open. And it was on His timing. It was 2 years of struggle in my career field, and it was 2 years of unknown. It was 2 years of frustration, 2 years of kind of why am I doing this? I constantly have to remind myself just to surrender to Him, to be open and to be willing to cancel my plans for His, I hope this story resonated with you in at least one way, or you've learned from my mistakes, or maybe can relate to my mistakes. If you subscribe to this channel, there'll be a lot more videos that are related to my faith and my own journey, my own walk with the Lord. And if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified to any new video that comes on this channel. And I hope you have a great day.